For more than a decade, FTI has strived to become the leader in the aftermarket performance transmission and converter industry. We've joined forces with McLeod driveline components under the leadership of Top Fuel Funny Car pilot Paul Lee, and now have a larger distribution network, more resources, and more power. Come see us in the pits and ask how you can join the FTI family. It's not cheating, it is the competitive edge.
The number one source of friction in your engine is not what you think. Piston rings rubbing against the cylinder walls generate more friction than any other part of the engine. More friction and temperature means more wear and less horsepower. Fortunately, the team at Total Seal knows how to reduce friction and wear through innovative piston ring design. If it takes a piston, Total Seal can build a better ring.
This is WFO Radio.
Hey everybody, WFO Radio is back. A little midweek WFO, right in the middle of the day, East Coast, 12 noon Eastern time, but everybody else is watching on demand, including the great folks on PowerTube TV. How are you guys doing in the WFO block on PowerTube TV? Super excited. You can get to know a little bit of NHRA Mission Foods Drag Racing Series superstars. We have got Doug Kalitta, the reigning world champion, picks up his first 4-wide win in Las Vegas. What a win it was. Talk about hitters. You got Justin Ashley in there. You got Tony Stewart in there. You got Steve Torrence in there. And Doug Kalitta comes out on top. We're going to speak with Doug just minutes from now. Also on the show, Bob Tasca. You think a little bit about Bob Tasca and what he has been able to do. Amazing. Look at this. I'm getting a phone call from Doug Kalitta. Sometimes it happens this way. Hello, Doug. Excellent. How about yourself? Yes, you were. I thought you were just signing on, actually. You were provided a link that you will click, and it'll be like Zoom, and we use this StreamYard. Would you like me to send that to you again, Doug?
I clicked on it, and I got the camera thing up, and it seemed like I should be in the meeting on that.
You're not in. You were, but then you dropped out. Try again, that link that we provided you, and I'll bring you right up. Yeah, no, I don't want to hang up on you, and then what's exciting is the audience is out there watching this interaction, and I'm sure they're like sharing it and very into like a little behind the scenes, right? People love behind the scenes. There he is. There, I see you down there. Okay, hang up from me and bring it on here. Look at this. Look at this. How about that? Oh, there he dropped off. Oh, no. This is how it goes sometimes, They like the producers behind the scenes. That was it. We just had him, and then he's dropped off again. That's terrible. What's what people got to say out there, right? We love the live action WFO. Certainly. What channel is PowerTube TV? Like, it's an app you have to download. You download the app, and you have access to all the PowerTube TV stuff. Michael's out there in Pittsburgh saying, what's up? Yeti was out there in Vegas hanging out. And everybody, like Richard, saying, always good to catch up live. WFO. Everybody saying WFO. And what I want to do is I want to make sure that Doug, here he comes. He's coming on. There he is. You've seen him, folks. He exists. What's up, Doug? How are you doing?
It's all good.
Yeah.
How you doing? Sorry about the technical difficulties, I guess you can say.
I think people like that stuff, honestly.
Yeah,
like when everything goes perfect, people are like, meh, perfect. We're used to that. When things go a little sideways, I think people like it a little bit better. But let's talk about winning this 4-wide, Doug. This is something that was on your driver bucket list, and you got it.
Yes, that was a huge relief. It's I kind of always say that I like the 4-wides. So yeah, no, it was good to get a win there for sure. And obviously, Bruton Smith back in the day, was obviously trying to make something different, something cool, and I've always supported him with that idea that he had. Some people like the 4-wide, some people don't, but I've definitely always supported Marcus and
he dropped off. What is that all about? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? We've done so many interviews with Doug over the years. He'll just connect right back in. Interesting note, though, that he mentions the 4 wide, and some people don't like it. But I really think that just like with everything, and I compare it to the wild card in Major League Baseball, like the purists and the traditionalists, they didn't like it, right? They liked it the way it was back in the day, the way it was when they, first started watching. And it changed. And so the traditionalists didn't like the wild card, but you let enough time go by and all of a sudden it becomes normal. The wild card becomes normal in baseball, just like 4 wide has become normal in drag racing. And this might have been the best 4 wide drag race we've seen, Doug.
Nice. Yeah, it was, we had a good crowd there, I thought. And the competition was super tight in all the classes. I think Tasca, he ended up with the whole shot on two or three of the drivers, so that was kind of cool.
Triple.
So yeah, I mean, it was just crazy close racing, and obviously, everybody was hungry, and we're all trying to win that thing. So it was fun.
Okay, so in case we were to get cut off again, you're doing the right thing. Just click the link again. I have no idea, but it's the internet, right? It's a miracle we can do this at all. Been speaking with Alan Johnson a lot on the starting line. He is. I'm going to say like beaming with confidence, right? Like I love speaking with Alan, being with confidence.
Okay,
Brian Fusen doing great over there as well. Like all of Kalitta Motorsports is doing very well. And to me, that is a sign of all the hard work that they have put in the past couple of years. Blake saying congratulations to Doug. Kara saying congratulations to Doug on everything. Phil D saying, who is like the WFO insider from the OG days. Everybody saying like the confidence at Kalitta Motorsports. I even spoke with Chad the other day and he is beaming with confidence. What's the attitude like over there?
Yeah. With getting the wins, it's definitely helping. The momentum with all of our teams is real high, where everybody's got an extra skip in their step. And, when we keep turning the win lights on, it makes everything a lot easier. Right. So now we're just trying to do our thing, go to these races and try to, win the events. And it's been working well. So, but really, I mean, like you say, Chad he's working that thing every day. All the details, he's doing an incredible job, trying to get, all our 3 teams, the support they want and need. And, again, Connie's giving us everything we need to make it happen. So it's pretty exciting times right now at Kalitta Motorsports for sure.
What's his attitude been like? I know everybody is asking you about, when you won the championship and all, but like that has receded a little bit. Now it's about going out and winning a bunch of races with this team. What's his attitude like? I'm sure he's happy, but what has he shared with you, if anything? And like, this is just how it's going to be. Yes, Doug. What has Connie shared with you about this success you guys are having?
So he ended up, he was on a little vacation last weekend, so he didn't go to Vegas, but I ran across him this morning and, he was just super excited for us to get that win down there. So he'll be in Charlotte and it's good to see. I mean, he's poured his heart and soul into, everything that he's done, and drag racing has been a big part of his life. So, to have the success that we've started out the year with all of our teams has been pretty exciting for him. And obviously he's always kind of tuned, watched over Sean's car. And, he was definitely very supportive with, getting Brian in there and letting him have the opportunity to tune this thing. So he's really excited for what Brian and that whole team is doing as well.
There's a saying in farming, not that I know anything about farming, but make hay while the sun is shining. The sun is shining on this team, and you guys are doing a great job, turning on win lights, making the right calls at the right time. It's the time to go out there and win some Wallies. And I'm eager to see how many they can stack up, certainly. How many, you never know how many races you can win, but it seems like you've got everything honed out right now. Like, are you working on anything, or are you just running the combination you've developed?
Yeah. So I guess in Phoenix, we switched to one of our backup cars that we've had. And, so it was good to see that the cars cooperating nice. Alan, and my whole team there with Mac, and we're fortunate. The second race out, we were able to get some consistency. Each. They really had the thing dialed in nice for the weekend. So real proud of the effort. And it's just a work in progress, with really everything that we're doing. And, just super excited to be driving that thing. And obviously with Alan, and, he's one of the
best in the business, the best that have ever lived, the best that ever will be. And I think for my money, that's one of the great subplots of the whole deal. Alan Johnson, who, the orchestrator of the run, obviously, but now to come back and win the title with you, Doug, and be able to continue to demonstrate that Alan Johnson is one of the best of all time. And for us to get to watch it again, like, you never know. Yeah. You say it all the time. You never know when your next win is going to be. Yeah, no, it's exciting for me to, I've raced against Alan my whole life, and obviously the last couple of years having him as my crew chief, it's been fun to watch him do his thing. And he's super smart with tuning these things. I always say it's a mad science, and I'm glad somebody else is tuning my car. I don't have to really try to mess with trying to figure it out, because it's just one of those things you just have to live every moment of your life, it seems like, to really figure these things out. And between building the parts that he builds for our team and everybody else out there, and then putting those parts to work on the weekends, is pretty impressive. What do you think going on? So I don't want to have Doug continue to, with whatever internet issue that we are having between he and me. I don't want to put him through the incessant attempts to reconnect. The good news is that I really feel like Doug Kalitta is going to have himself a very strong season and continue. So, Doug, a final thought for the audience out there, a final thought as you get ready to try to go back-to-back four-wide. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, I wish it was this weekend, but we're going to have to wait one more weekend, and certainly encourage anybody that's in the Charlotte area to come out and check this out, because like I say, we've had great crowds all year, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on with the NHRA right now. We've got Mission Foods as a new title sponsor, and nothing else. Come out and get some of their chips, because they're good chips, and they are good chips. They're even, I think they designed them to look like a drag racing car too, so it's kind of cool. But no, they're out there, and then having a race on Saturday, I think is real cool. So that's something else that Mission Foods has done, is having the shootout on Saturdays from the the winners of the previous race, and unfortunately we're part of that for this weekend. And so it'll be a race on Saturday, race on Sunday, so come on out. All right, thank you very much, Doug. If he reconnects, we'll say official goodbye, but in the meantime, I feel amazingly satisfied. Doug, everyone's saying have a great season for Doug. Dino saying good job. Everybody excited about Doug Kalitta. Like, Doug Kalitta, class guy. Doug, thank you for trying so hard to reconnect. Like, this has been amazing, right? Like, you're total pro getting it done right here, and I appreciate it, and I thank you. No, thanks for having me on, Joe. All right, go have a great day. Excellent work. All your stuff there. You're doing a hell of a job. Appreciate what you do for us. Well, only because I love the sport. You guys are doing a great job too. Let's all keep pushing hard, and we're going to blow this thing up in a good way, not in a top fuel dragster kind of way. All right. Sounds good. Later, Doug. Take care. Doug Kalitta with us here on WFO Radio. Man, I hope everybody understands like what a great guy Doug Kalitta is. And for him to see him win that championship last year, to see him just, get all the things he's been waited for so many years. It's great. And he's like light, and he's in a good mood, and he's having fun, and he always had fun. He always loved the sport, but now it has been great. And all those Kalitta Motorsports fans, I spent a lot of time on the starting line as part of my job with the track announcing team. And I get to hang out with the sponsors and everybody who, they're spending a lot of money and a lot of resources to come out there, and they are loving it too, like to get the payback. Let's check out the final round. I wanted to play this for Doug, but the way the Today, the internet connection, who knows? But let's watch the final round as called by Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon, NHRA on Fox. NHRA on Fox. The show is rocking. Good things. You got to be sure to set the DVR. Let's see how that final round goes.
They're all clean off the launch. They're all clean down the racetrack and across the finish line stripe. It is Doug Kalitta, 371.5. Beats a 374.5, a 374.5, and a 376.9.
When Doug Kalitta has himself a good race car, the rest of the competition better watch out. That was the case this weekend, Doug. 371. That was a close final round, 0.003 of a second. How much fun are you having driving this car right now?
Yeah, I tell you, Alan Johnson and Mac and all these Mac Tools, Toyota, Revline guys, they're really got this thing running. Each round we were running, quick time, and it's great to do in Vegas, and obviously the first four wide is pretty special.
Congratulations, Doug.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, amazing for Doug to go out there and get it done. And I do want to mention Max Savage because we want to highlight and feature as many personalities as we possibly can out there in the, just under the surface of NHRA drag racing. And Mac is one of those guys that, he doesn't talk a lot. His actions speak louder than his words, and a lot of success for Max Savage. Where he has gone, success has followed, and I'm very excited for Mac as well to be over there with Alan and that great team is doing well. All right, so Bob Tasca going to be joining us minutes from now. We're going to talk about that triple hole shot win for Bob Tasca, and I am certainly hoping that we do not also have those internet issues, because then it would probably be on my end, right? Like right now, I'm feeling pretty comfortable that it's just the internet out there. The miracle of the internet. We're on a plane, we're streaming, we're all over the place, but it's not normally like that. And of course, I apologize that there's any kind of difficulty at any point, but we really don't have these problems. So we'll see what happens with BT3, and I want to get into it about his triple hole shot win, the big four. When you think about Doug's final, though, you got Tony Stewart making his first final round. Those guys battled all the way back into the early 90s in the USAC days. You had Steve Torrence, who's really kind of the king of four wide with his dominance of the format over his 4 consecutive championship seasons. Well, that's amazing. You've got the young gun, Justin Ashley, and his Skag machine. Justin left first, of course. That's what he's known for. And gets to another final round, Justin Ashley and Doug Kalitta. And it comes down to a couple of thou. Doug was able to outrun Justin and get the win. Steve and Tony finishing third and fourth. But what do you want if you're not entertained by that, right? Like, what are you looking for? You've got big personalities. You've got big characters like Tony Stewart, world known. Steve Torrence, wild, brash character. Doug Kalitta, pilot vibe, been in the sport for 30 years. Justin Ashley, the young, fresh face. If you're scripting a Top Fuel final round, I guess, Brittany Force might have been in there to represent the ladies, right? Or Krista Baldwin or Jasmine Salinas. Like, maybe you would have done it differently that way. But for me, if we're trying to attract new fans, if we're trying to attract people that were NASCAR fans that are maybe disillusioned a little bit by the new car or the way things are going over there, that want to follow Smoke and his journey, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better, except for maybe the Funny Car final, where the 4 best of the contemporaries for the past 4 seasons all squared off in a final round that was within a couple of hundredths of a second. And low ET of the meet finished last with a great reaction time. It's insanity. It's insanity. All right, Tasca's a few minutes away. I do want to get into a couple of other things, though. I need you guys to share the show, frankly, especially those of you on X. I need a repost on X before Tasca gets on here, because we need a big audience for Tasca. We're popping on in the middle of the day. PowerTube TV, folks, you guys don't have to deal with this. We're always in the same spot on the same time on Roku, on Apple, on all of those things. But I want a big audience for Tasca. I do want to tell you about the people who make it possible for me to go WFO. And then I'm going to tell you about the new intake manifold controversy in Pro Stock. This is the story. You heard Erica Enders reference it. It's been bubbling under the surface, and now it is emerged. It is now public. But these are the folks, these logos, these people: Total Seal piston rings, the leader in ring seal technology; FTI performance transmissions and torque converters; Foggit. It is a spray that protects the very expensive cylinder finish inside your racing engine, but also inside any engine. If you have a classic car that is going to sit for a month or 2 months, you fog it down, it's going to protect from rust, and it's going to help it start. FOGGIT.com. Bernie Speed Shop. If you're buying a classic car, if you're selling a classic car, if you're looking for a frame-off restoration, Bernie's does it all. They're located in Ocala, Florida. BURNYZZ.com. Bernie's. CWT Industries. This is balance machines for machine shops. Think about it. How long have you had your balance machine? Is it the most modern technology? These things are in many ways automated, certainly touchscreen, very easy. They do a lot of the functions and features much quicker than the previous editions. What does that mean for you? It means it's a moneymaker because it's cutting your processes down. It's cutting the time down, increasing the accuracy. Jobs don't come back, and the engines are going to run better and last longer if you do use a CWT Industries balancer. You can email me, joe@wforadio.com, if you have any questions about any of our sponsors, about anything on the show, really. And, of course, our great friends at phillips-connect.com. Later on in the show, I'll tell you about rodaxcoffeeandgrills.com. I'll tell you about samtech.edu, speaking of machinists, and I'll tell you about Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. You know, whether it be coffee or an amazing experience, we've got great sponsors here on WFO Radio. So a communication went out yesterday. For those that don't know, we've been hearing about a rules clarification that came out right before the start of the season in Pro Stock. And it was something along the lines of nothing in the intake manifold. Anybody that has followed racing for many years, NASCAR, NHRA otherwise, knows that the intake manifold is the source of much or most of the horsepower. And throughout history, inside the intake manifolds, there have been things. What has been in there, right? You can go ask your local high performance guy or pick the Pro Stock racer of your choice to ask. But diamonds and pyramids and diffusers and screens and little, ledges and things to cause the air to tumble or to break up the air into a mist. All of these things have been used over the years, and it has been part of Pro Stock. And so when the switch to fuel injection happened, as I understand it, the rules package that was put forth left some room for interpretation as to, are you allowed to do something or are you not allowed to do something? And so some people have been doing something and some people have not been doing something since jump. Well, before the start of this season, the NHRA rules makers decided, and we're going to bring on rules makers. Lonnie Grimm has offered to come on WFO Radio, but we're kind of like waiting for this to settle in. Before the start of the season, there was a rules clarification that said nothing, like an empty can, nothing is allowed. You can't have a little winglet. You can't put a diamond. You can't put a pyramid. You can't put anything in there. It's got to be empty. So what this caused was problems for KB Titan. KB Titan, who had just been using these kind of things because it was always in their interpretation of the rules and part of something that had happened in Pro Stock for 100 years. Now their electronic fuel injection tune and everything that they've learned from track to track, weather condition to condition, is no longer applicable. And so there was a lot of discussion about like, hey, why are you doing this to us? Why did you make this rule so close to the start of the season? If you wanted to make it for 2025, we could adapt. But right now we're forced to do 7 years of development in just hours and weeks. And every time we go to a track, like maybe the cars are fast, but maybe they're not. What's going on? We're having issues. And this was all as a result. And I can speak with confidence that the KB Titan side of things, like, we're not against the rules. We're just against like when it was delivered to us, which was right before the start of the season. So there's been a lot of discussion. And there was even a meeting about maybe switching back to the previous rules scenario so that all the work and hard work and performance that was worked upon to level the playing field and had really competitive Pro Stock category for the past couple of years would be returned. Well, yesterday, this communication went out. And Courtney Enders read this on the Shake and Bake show. Those guys talked a little bit about it. She gave the Elite Motorsports perspective. Here's what they say. Pro Stock competitors. The Pro Stock Committee has discussed the result for adjusting the current intake manifold rules, after the meeting. The committee has looked at all the available information and data in consideration of the request, and we have determined that the current intake manifold rules are in the best interest for the category. There will be no intake manifold rule adjustment or amendment to the current manifold rules, as in this is it. But get this, the committee has also discussed and is implementing changes to the intake manifold covers. Intake manifold covers will be prohibited starting in Charlotte. We appreciate your support, et cetera, and so on. Pro Stock Committee. And there you go. Rules defined. There it is. The law has been laid down. The vagueness has been erased. This is how it's going to be. KB Titan is going to be forced to go along with this, and they will, I'm sure. They will have to readapt their tune-up. They will have to relearn what they've learned. But it's a tough call, and I understand it. What about all these other teams? Like, they have apparently nothing inside their intake manifold as we understand it. And so if this was to go the other way, then maybe they would have to develop. So NHRA has made themselves a call, and they have gone with nothing on the inside of the intake manifold and no covers on the intake manifold, which I don't really buy, because you're only seeing the outside. Alan Reinhart told us yesterday that in his David Nickens Pro Stock days that they would make a faux outside to fill the inside with epoxy. They'd machine the epoxy to whatever they wanted. So you could never tell what kind of, dimensions they had on the inside of the intake manifold. However, with fuel injection, there is the injector location, and the injector location, I think, is going to be obvious, right? Like, you're going to be able to see where the injector is. If you can see the inside of the intake manifold, you're going to see the injector. There, the injector is up high, or the injector is down low, or where is the injector? From what I understand, you can't have the injector in the radius. It's very specific where the injector is going to be. So the clock is ticking for KB Titan now. They are like, let's see how rapidly they can adjust. Greg's car has already been fast. Dallas's car has been fast. But what they have had is issues repeating. We know that they're going to have to test the wheels off the cars. We'll see. They've got from now till the U.S. Nationals to toil and struggle and figure it out. And we'll see how they do. People wanted a more active tech department. People wanted the NHRA tech department to get involved. And now the tech department is involved, and they're doing a lot of stuff. And they're all over intake manifolds and Pro Stock. They've made their clarification. Not just Pro Stock. They've been all over all the categories. But let's talk to our Funny Car winner, who joins us now, Bob Tasca. Fans of Bob Tasca, repost the show.
Joe.
What's up, Bob? How are you?
Doing? Very good.
Where are you? Look at this. This is a fancy place that you're in, whatever it is. Where are you?
I'm actually in an airplane hangar right now, Joe.
See, we talked to Doug Kalitta. He's a pilot. We're talking to Bob Tasca. He's a pilot. What's that like?
I love flying. It actually is a game changer for me. There's absolutely no way possible we could cover the 30 plus dealerships my family owns and race all over the country and not have an airplane. So it's definitely a value add. We got a couple of airplanes that get us around the country.
Excellent. All right. Triple hole shot. I'll play the video after you're off. I don't want to lose you. If the internet were to crap out, just come right back through that same link. But triple hole shot, Bob.
Hey, listen, guys gave me a great race car. Gave me a great race car all weekend long. Put me in the position to win. You run that race 10 out of 10 times, you probably get 10 out of 10 different winners at any given point. It was an epic race. Some of the best drivers and cars in the country, and it went our way. So, we tested all day Monday. We're working hard. Certainly, we have a car that can run with the best of them, but it's a tough field out there, Joe.
Okay, so you made the guys test. Like, What? Like, you guys won the race. Isn't it normally like you let them have a day or something? You guys, and I know your answer, and I want you to tell the whole world why you did that.
Hey, listen, we're working on just getting better, right? You just, there's limited amounts of times a year that we can test. As you get into the summer months, the back-to-backs, it really becomes difficult. This is probably one of the last real good chances to test, because Monday, exact same conditions, exact same racetrack, you can make some significant changes to the car and see if it worked or not. Because, 80% of the stuff you test doesn't work. And there's no better time than Mondays after a national event. So we just didn't want to lose that opportunity. We made 3 runs on Monday, great data that we learned, and we'll take to Charlotte with us. But no, just excited about being in this position with an incredible team, incredible race car, and, driver's got to do his job too.
Okay, so Ford re-signed with you. That's big news.
Yeah.
To be able to deliver a win over the sport's best in that situation with a triple hole shot. Like, wow, dream scenario.
Hey, listen, it's why we do it. It's the only reason why Ford and the sponsors, it's the only reason why I'm out there is to compete for a championship and win. You got to win races. Very important. I've always said that the 4 wides are by far the hardest races to win, because you got to beat 3 people. It's hard enough to beat 1 person in the final, never mind 3. And then you go up against the cast of characters against me in the finals. I mean, arguably some of the best to ever do it. So it was a big win for our team, but we're not resting on our laurels. We're going to go out there and, work real hard in Charlotte and try to double up on these 4 wides.
Okay, poking it in there in the final. There's all this debate over the years. A lot of people go after Force for doing it, Cruz for doing it. You're an old school funny car driver as much as you look very young. You do it. And a lot of people don't like it.
I don't even know why we talk about it, Joe. I really don't understand. Like, people talk about poking in. First off, if you run the tapes back slow motion, my throttle's open first. I don't give a shit whether the car was deep, shallow. You can see it. My car was running 880 short times all weekend. You can look at the slips. I went 888. Maybe I put the top bulb out next race. Maybe I don't. Maybe I go in first. Maybe I go in last. That's the art of what the driver can do. Like to even have a conversation about where a driver stages, it's comical. I mean, you got some drivers that get out of the car and right away they start talking about who's in shallow. Who cares? Who put the wind light on? Like, that's the only conversation that should be had. If you get beat on a whole shot, whatever the slip says, who was deep, who was shallow, who cares? It's whoever gets to the finish line first, end of the conversation. And as a driver, I mean, you want to take that away from us too? Like just take us out of the car. We'll just put an autonomous driver in. I don't need to drive. None of us need to get in it. We'll all sit in the grandstands and see which one gets to the finish line first by a computer. I mean, it is complete nonsense. It shouldn't be talked about. Who cares? Like, really, who cares? Who won the race? That's all I have to say. And it's just comical to me, particularly some of the newer drivers. I think the older drivers, the more veteran drivers, they get it. Like, they get it. And the younger drivers, some of the newer drivers, it's like, who cares? Like, go drive your car however you want. I remember a driver came up to me, Joe, and apologized, took too long to stage. I said, took too long to stage. I said, number 1, don't ever come up to me and apologize. Number 2, I was in the car hoping that you took another second so I would get the wind light and I could idle down the track. Like, I'm hoping that you fuck up, right? Like to me, it just is comical. Like, go drive your race car. NHRA tells us we have about a 7-inch rollout. If you want to use it, go use it. If you don't want to use it, you don't have to. They give us 7 seconds to stage when someone goes in. If you want to use 6.99, go use 6.99. If you want to use 1 second, go use 1 second. It's to me, like, people have said that about John Force. He puts the top bulb out. He said, yeah, that's what he does. And I get excited about it. Like, when I race John, I'm like, okay, what's this cat going to do to me now? Like, okay, let's focus. And to me, to even talk about it, it shows immaturity. It shows lack of truly understanding of what a driver can or can't do. And to me, it's like, oh my God, I'm over it. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do in Charlotte. Like, Joe, I may put the top bulb out. I may go in last. I may try to, I don't know. Like to me, it's not a preconceived notion. I just go in and do what I do in that moment, and it is what it is. Like, was I in a little? Yeah, I was in a couple. I wasn't in 500s. I mean, you can look at the slip, but again, I say, who cares? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But anyways, let them all talk, and we're just going to try to keep putting win light ons no matter what I have to try to do. That's what we're going to try to do.
Well, and I love hearing that because I've been an advocate for that process that you just described. That's old school to me. That's part of the gamesmanship
of course,
going way back to match racing when like dinner money was on the table, right? Like we got to win this because we need to get the guys from here to there. We need to eat and we need the money a little more of a desperate time.
The funny thing is that the average fan doesn't care. They don't care. They don't understand deep and shallow. They just don't care. All they care about is, hey, that dude won on a hole shot. Like that's how it went down. And in the case of Sunday, it was a hole shot win. Period. End of the story. And sometimes I've rolled it in deep and won on a hole shot, and I don't know, mathematically it probably wasn't a hole shot. And I've gotten beat the same way on both sides. So it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. And those that like to talk about it, I guess they like to make themselves feel good and their team feel like shit. Like when a driver gets out of the car and says, well, it wasn't a whole shot win. So basically you're saying you were good, your team sucked, and don't blame me, blame them. I mean, that's what you're saying is when you say that you didn't lose on a whole shot, when you lost on a whole shot, that's what you're saying. And to me, it's we win as a team, we lose as a team. And I, have the privilege of owning and driving. So I'm going to do whatever I want, right? Some drivers don't have that privilege and they got to operate under different rules, and that's fine. That's what you chose to do. Go own your own car if you want to drive it differently, right? So it is what it is. But I give credit to good drivers that cut consistent lights and keep the car in the middle of the groove and can pedal the car. I mean, the best of the best drivers out there. You don't have to name them off. I don't really care if they go in deep or shallow. I don't care.
I love it. So this is what we're going to see all year, though, right? The big four risking becoming the big five, maybe, JR is sparking and Force is out there. But in the end, it was the four best drivers from the last 4 seasons or so competing in this incredible final round. And I feel like that's going to continue right through the remainder of the year. So what separates victory from defeat when you're running against teams like this?
Well, I mean, hey, listen, I don't really believe in the big four. I believe in probably the Big 10. I mean, I think there's 10 cars consistently. I mean, JR. I mean, JR is good at drivers. Anyone out there? He's got a great race car. He can go knock any of us off, right? So Big 4, Big 5, Big 10. To me, you pull up on Sunday. I got whipped first round on Pomona and Phoenix. I went home, right? So any given Sunday, any team can win. All I'm focused on with my team is trying to get better. We want to get better. We want to get more consistent. That's all I'm focused on. I can't control Caps, Hagan, can't control any of those guys. I mean, it is what it is. I think, though, what you're kind of referring to, what you're going to see all year long is you're going to see heavyweight matchups, time, race in, race out. And, Hagan sent me a nice note. There's no one I get up more for than him. I mean, you gotta bring your A game. You're gonna pull up against some of those big name cars with great drivers, great tuners. You better do everything you can as a driver, and your crew chiefs and team better do everything they can to get that car set up, or you're packing your shit up and going home. And that's just the way it's going to be this year. And truthfully, I don't know how much different it was from last year. I mean, you got big name guys all around, and we're not taking anyone for granted. We're just going to go up there, do the best we can every run.
All right. Finally, a reporter in the media center, just a random person, asked if it's better luck when your kids are in the house. Once again, anecdotal. Austin was there and you won.
Yeah. Hey, listen, for me, I love having my kid. I mean, I'm a family guy. It's family throughout NHRA. When I look out and see my kids there, I mean, it just gives you a little more motivation. The worst weekends I have is, you're in the hotel rooms going to dinner alone, right? Countless times, Joe, you, me, all of us out here have been at the bar, sitting down and eating dinner alone. When you got your family with you, your kids, my wife, I mean, it's definitely, it means a lot more to me. And, I've always said, you go and put the wind light on, what goes through your head. The first thing I want to see when I get home or get a minute to watch the race, I want to look at the start line, because those are the guys and gals to see the joy, the excitement that they have, and all the work and all the sacrifice. I mean, the average fan doesn't realize the time away from your family on the road, parking in. These guys are living in truck stops across the country. To see that energy on the start line, that's, for me, it's just awesome. And I think Cameron was 4 feet off the ground. They had a pile of people excited on the start line. It's why we do. It's a big race and big win, and we're going to enjoy it for sure. But we got a lot of racing to go. We got a big race coming up in Charlotte. Great facility, great racetrack. Hopefully the weather's going to be good, and this season's going to start getting into high gear now.
All right, so I want to let you go. I know you're at a hangar for a reason, but since you mentioned all of that, I must try to share this video that I have with you. Please watch this, because after the race was over, right? Cool stuff happens. This is why you got to. All right, what are we looking at here?
We're looking at the winning time slip right now from Las Vegas.
Oh my gosh, tripling hole shot, maybe the best run ever. Look at that. What was the length?
8:34.
34. There's the numbers. There it is.
There it is.
Simple as that. One of the greatest runs ever.
What a weekend in Las Vegas. I love coming here, especially with the crowd we had. And what a way to win. What a way to finish off. Thank you very much.
Look at that. Look at that. There we go. Look at that. Woo. And then you arrive. You saw the important part, right?
Yeah,
Like, that's your boy. He's doing media on your behalf after the race.
Hey, listen, it was an epic race. I don't know if it was the greatest race of all time, but it certainly will rank in the eons of one of the greatest of all times. And it was just very fortunate we came up on top. Like I said, you run that race 10 more times, you get a variety of different winners. But we came out on top when it mattered, and we're excited about that. Excited for Ford and BG and Motorcraft and all the people that invest so much with us, PPG. And, on to Charlotte, Joe. Hero to zero, zero to hero in this sport. That.
So true. So true. All right, Bob, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Congratulations. Thank you for your honesty and your candor. That's what we need. People want to hear about this kind of stuff. And we now know where you stand.
All right. Thanks, brother. Bye-bye.
There he goes. Bob Tasca with us here on WFO Radio. I found that to be very interesting. I found that to be a very interesting interview with Bob, because that is the opinion that I have held for a long time. In that I always liked that kind of stuff. Starting line, gamesmanship, who's going in deep, what's Force going to do, what's Cruz going to do, what's Tasca going to do, what these guys are going to do. But I think that over the years, a new wave of pure reaction time drivers, guys who are just so quick, they want to be shallow every time, see the light, they're going to go 50 or better, and just have got that razor's edge hair trigger kind of thing going on. And they don't like that gamesmanship because it throws them out of their routine, maybe. And this has been an ongoing discussion, but Bob Tasca just threw it down, right? He just said, why are you even talking about it? Wow. Very, very interesting. What is your take, WFO universe? Put it in the chat section right now. And for those of you watching after the fact on YouTube only, the YouTube comments section that is down there, I want to know what you think. Our YouTube question of the week is, staging deep on the starting line games, where you stage, shallow stage, deep stage. Does it matter to you? What do you think of that topic? Bob doesn't want it to be autonomous drivers. Everybody stages shallow, and then the light beam comes on and the car reacts. There's got to be a human element. What do you think about that? Put it in the chat section on YouTube, after the show is over, because YouTube comments helps the algorithm, right? Comment on the video, and it goes crazy. But let's see what everyone else has to say. And let's I'm going to play the rest of that video for you guys now. But first, let's do the final round, as called by Brian and Tony.
16 Charlotte 4-wide event. The funny cars are locking in. Here we go. A brilliant race to the top end of the drag strip, and it's Bob Tasca III. 3:93.8 and 0:57 reaction time, and they are going nuts in Cranston, Rhode Island. Matt Hagan, the runner-up here at 3:95.5. Tim Wilkerson, 3:92.2. Had the quickest car of the quad, but a 95 light sunk his battleship. And Ron Capps goes 3:97.8.
Well, and that's one of the things that Bob Tasca has been showing.
Am I watching the wrong video? I got the wrong video from the wrong year up there, but Bob Tasca won it. Nonetheless, how crazy is that? That was in his folder. You get the deal. Let's go back to Cameron.
I have actually the two
The Tasca boys on a golf cart is a scary sight. I gotta tell you. Oh well, at least we're not driving. Let's not do that.
Watch for the ET slip, guys.
All right, how you doing?
There it is.
Boom.
Keep safe.
What's up, brother?
Jaggy getting the big win. Had Jeg Coughlin on the show yesterday, and Jeg was amazing. Tasca keeps that ET slip forever. Speaking of the Pro Stock Final, let's watch it right now.
Foster goes red by a mile. And this one is going to go down to the stripe, and Tucker looks like he's going to shot at it, and at the finish line stripe, it is Coughlin. 661.6, 207.18 miles an hour for Jag. Gets the job done.
So Jake Coughlin Jr. brings home the Wally at the 4-wide Nationals. Jag, you were the first to leave the starting line. You had the quickest car in that quad. You've got yourself a horse to ride, and that's going to be dangerous for the Pro Stock contingent. How good does it feel to hold that Wally for the first time in a couple of years?
It feels fantastic, let me tell you. It's been quite a ride, without question. Being in the winner's circle, nothing beats that. The Team Elites obviously brought me back in with open arms with Randy and everyone at Skag and JHG and Jegs and, of course, Outlaw Beer, man. We're going to enjoy a few of those tonight, let me tell you. But this thing was a rocket all weekend. I let the clutch out there in the final. The whole crew chief bank had this thing on kill, and front end was up. I was banging through the gears, and I'm like, God, please hold together, because everything felt really good from the time I let the clutch out until I saw that blinking light. And, I love my family. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.
Amanda's with Jake's team.
Yeah, how about that? Here we go. This is it.
What a final round. They charge to the finish line stripe. And the win light is on for Bob Tasca. 391.5 on a hole shot. He's a triple hole shot for the first time in funny car history. 391 beat a 389, beat a 390, and beat a 3904.
In one of the best drag races we've seen in recent memory, 9,000ths of a second triple hole shot win for Bob Tasca. Did you take off the speed limit and the ET limit on those guys?
I took the rev limiter off Aaron Brooks and Todd Okahara. All weekend long, this race car's been wanting to run. We just wanted to find that consistency to go up and down the racetrack. This last run, we knew we had to step up. I knew I had to step up. You're racing against the best in the world over here. That's a big-time matchup. Capps, Hagan, Prock, Tasca. We got the trophy, baby. Partying in Vegas tonight. Yes.
Amazing, amazing. All right, we got it right. We found it out. How crazy is it that I happen to have a Bob Tasca 4-wide win queued up in the folder, same lane, same everything. And I'm like, Tim Wilkerson, that's not right. The car's not right. What the heck are we doing? But we got it right in the end. And of course, Bruno Massel, Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon, NHRA on Fox on the call. And hopefully you guys have got that DVR'd, and we, obviously having a pretty good run in the world of the NHRA. All right, final comments in the comment section, guys. Like, what do you think about all that has transpired? Jeg Coughlin yesterday, Pro Stock intake manifold rules, and our YouTube comments question of the week. What do you think about deep staging? And should the people who are not into it get over it? Or is there another opinion? Bob was very strong in his opinion. Very interesting. I have a feeling that's going to get a lot of talk, a lot of controversy as we get ready to go into Charlotte. Controversy in pro stock with the intake manifold rule. Nothing allowed in there. No more covers. We're going to get to go and see intake manifolds. And they can't stop us. We're going to be there with our cameras. We're going to be all looking like that with our cameras, trying to figure out where those injectors are. I'm sure they're going to hate that. Like I would hate it too. But that's the rule. NHRA has put it out there, right? The deep staging, pro stock motorcycle, the elimination of the fuel that Vance and Hines were using all these years can be very, very interesting. But let's see what you guys have to say down there in the chat section, right? Great shows this week. Thank you, Monica. I appreciate you guys. For those of you that are new to the show, watching WFO Radio for the very first time, and there's always new listeners, subscribe on YouTube. Click the bell to enable notifications. Please, write us a review if you're listening on audio only. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast, and follow our show and support our sponsors. Like all of these things help WFO Radio grow and enable us to create more content just like this. Scott says, it's legal and it makes for exciting racing. That's my take. This is a very simple sport. 2, sometimes 4 cars racing from here to there to see who gets there first. Anytime you can add an element that makes it intriguing and exciting, you should go with it. And you should not try to eliminate elements. And so that starting line, gamesmanship, staging duels, burn downs, hole shots, that is to me a big part of what makes it exciting. And so I'm excited to talk about it and see where this goes. Lonnie, again, I state, you stage when you want to stage within the allotted amount of time. Exactly. You get 7 seconds or that tree fires 4 wide. So you got to get in there, which I think is really cool. Let's see. Seems like you are getting more stage time this year. Great job, Joe. Thank you, Gary. Always wanting more, just like the racers. Always wanting more, whether it be time on NHRA on Fox, NHRA TV, mic time in the tower, opportunities on the starting line, fan engagement, NHRA stage. Always want more. Only problem is there's only one of me. And so I have to sometimes make tough decisions as to what and where I can best, use my talents and abilities, whatever they happen to be. I think the drivers should be allowed to stage their cars as they deem fit at the starting line. Drag racing should not be cookie cutter style starts, or like BTC3 said, it will be a video game. The video gamification. I think that it's a very fun and exciting conversation that has happened each of the last 5 years. John Force is normally involved, right? And John Force, Bob Tasca will tell you, was a big part of his driving style. That's why he's got such a great record head-to-head against John Force, because John kind of taught him the moves, and so he knows what John does. And that, like, cagey veteran starting line unpredictability is a huge part of the sport. And always was coming up. But if you are let's say you came up through bracket racing, that might not be part of your repertoire, your moves, because in bracket racing, you're not doing that. You're staging shallow every single time, and you're just relying on your reflexes and your consistency. And that's something a little different, a little gamesmanship, a little unpredictability on the starting line. People say it doesn't matter. Ultimately, that the numbers all even out in the end, and it doesn't really matter. But for Bob Tasca to have gotten a triple hole shot win, Caps was in deep, I'm sure, right? We'll have to ask him, right? But Hagan doesn't really like to go in deep. And I don't know that Austin Prock has developed a style just yet. He did comment on it. I haven't seen that interview just yet. So we'll see. Nicole says, get over it. Seems like crying over this comes out of the 4 wives every year, because you have a chance to get triple hole shotted. You're not just trying to race against one competitor. You're racing against 3 other competitors, which makes it a little more challenging. Gary says, thanks for the clips, Joe. It was a good weekend of racing. I thought it was a great weekend of racing. And I do want to mention, I don't know if the Life's a Drag guys are going to do a show this week, but, Jason Galvin came over and he brought up a point. If someone brings up a point, I like to give him credit for the point. right? Just like Todd Rogers from Goodyear was the one who came up with the idea for Top Taco. Jason Galvin goes, that could have been the greatest nitro drag race of all time. It could have been. It's worth discussing. And Phil Burgess in the media center goes, yeah, but the run. Yeah, the run was for a championship. This was not for a championship, right? But this was 4 wide. And it was a triple hole shot. And it was the best of the best involved in the sport all at the same time. Best of the best statistically at the moment. Because Bob is right. The Big Ten, JR, they're going to get multiple wins this year. They're going to fight their way at the end of the season. It's going to be more than the Big Four, my opinion. But right now, if you were to break down the people who have won the most races over the last 2 years, it's those guys that were in the final rounds. That's all we're saying. Let's see. George, don't care how my opponent stages, just got to be ready. Kara, I don't care one way or another. I'm used to John doing it, and I don't care. I just love the sport. 3rd generation going to the drags, says Kara. Tim Wilkerson says to Derek, who noticed, like right when I noticed, yeah, Tim Wilkerson, he's not racing anymore. He's racing with his son Daniel, who made the final round of the Mission Foods Too Fast, Too Tasty challenge. Let's see. Treasure Maze says, stage any way you want. Just don't flicker the light. I'm okay with flickering the light too. Austin Prock told me he figured out how to flicker the light in the funny car. Stage how you want. Don't cry. Separates the talented drivers. I think so. Everyone has their own way of staging. Very interesting. Kurt, just loving the live show. And I appreciate all you guys out there. Let's see. Like Jason Lyons said, if you win on a hole shot, you don't have enough power. See, I disagree. I think that, and that's the whole point of it all, is that there are multiple ways to get this done. And this sport, like you think about the Warren Johnson, who was power-centric. Jason Lyon, power-centric, right? I'm going to beat you with my car. The driver is an element that has to be, unfortunately, added to the combination. But it's really about the engine that I made and the power that I put to the ground. That is an element. But then again, you've got the people who are drivers like Erica Enders, who can go 00 on command for the most part when she needs it. 00. Need to be 00? 00. You do it. And then you put her with a great car, and then, you've got a 6-time world champion. If you don't like staging games, go somewhere else and cry. Gosh, Charles, it's so harsh. Like that place, they race those spec cars on the round tracks that make you dizzy when you watch them. They're taking a little bit of a shot there. Garrettson, it's harder to stage one of those pro cars than Super Comp, Super Gas, or Super Street cars. The pro cars can do as they want. That's also part of it. Just the idea of staging a 12,000 horsepower nitro car, something to consider. It's not easy to do it. And that's the moral of the story of all of it. We see these pretty cars made out of shiny pipe with cool wraps and interesting characters all around them get pushed to the starting line. And then they use this little machine and they start it, and then they're on. And then they do a burnout and they back up. Every one of those elements is a challenge. And I'd be scared to death to do any one of them. Like the guy holding the starter on there, when they pull the wires, they fire it up, pull the wires. Just that moment alone is a massive moment. Except it's in the context of 50 other things that eclipse it. And that's what drag racing is. It's just an awesome sport. And I love the fact that we get to enjoy it every week. And it's our job, my job, Reinhart's job, Galvin and Jason Logan's job, Loans, Tony, Bruno, to share all these little micro moments and how they add up to this incredible, insane sport that is NHRA drag racing. And yeah, it's a couple of cars going down the track, like from here to there, and one gets there first. Simple. But to do that, it's thousands of hours of work. It's, millions of dollars spent. It's, hundreds of hours of learning your trade and understanding the right way in the pursuit of perfection. Any one of those teams in Funny Car, somebody on the 10-man crew did any one thing out of a spec that is within a couple of thousandths of a second, that run doesn't happen. Somebody goes up in smoke or they don't get down. They all got down. They all did their job. And in this given circumstance, Bob Tasca got to the finish line first. Top Fuel, Doug Kalitta got to the finish line first. Amazing weekend of racing out there at the Vegas 4-Wide. We're going to do it again next week. Hopefully you will join us. This concludes the WFO radio programming for this week. We encourage you all to go to the archive, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. Write us a review. Been a long time since we had a new, fresh review. Please write us a review. You like the show. You like it. Thanks to our sponsors. And remember, you can get WFO merch in the WFO store. It is all available. And I will even send you free stickers. You just got to follow the rules and get on it. Appreciate all you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks to Bob. Thanks to Doug. We'll see you next time on WFO Radio.